Hello and welcome to VendOp News, where I cover the weekly happenings in the supply chain and procurement markets. My name is Jay Bartels, and let's just dive right in. This year's global pandemic showed us the determination and ingenuity that is possible when people and companies come together. Supply chains realize projects in days rather than weeks or months. First responders, healthcare workers, and others were put at the top of the priority list and goods were delivered. Seeing the rapid response and turnaround times that were made possible by the pandemic left some people with questions. Why can't the industrial sector supply these needs on an ongoing basis in these short time frames? And how do we avoid the scrambling that occurs when crisis strikes? These were the questions asked at recent hearings before the U.S. International Trade Commission. But there were no simple answers to be found. Some companies were able to retool to provide what was needed. But many companies confessed that responding was not just that simple. Reshoring was not that simple. Tariffs and price manipulations by foreign governments can also complicate things. But there are more moving parts to each company's situation. Take Nishikawa Cooper LLC, for example, also known as Nishco. Their workers could have stayed home, but instead volunteered to make protective gowns to help the supply effort. One hospital system asked if Nishco would consider making the gowns and other medical supplies full-time. The hospital didn't want to rely on imports from China anymore. Unfortunately, Nishco turned down the offer. Nishco knew continuing in the U.S. would require investments in products foreign competitors would ultimately pay more money for. Pitching in and helping with the pandemic supplies is one thing. Completely restructuring to make these products domestically on a full-time basis was something completely different. Then there is Showa Group in Alabama, the nation's only manufacturer of nitrite gloves. They are investing $20 million to double the capacity of their production lines. Their project was started before the pandemic hit and gained momentum as demand for gloves spiked. And Showa made sure to sign 2 long-term customer agreements. These contracts made their high-tech investments much less of a risk. Each of these companies made very different decisions, but both did what was right for them. And both examples illustrate just how complicated the situations can be. Our next report covers a few key focus areas for procurement teams of the future. At the top of that list is an increased focus on sustainability. Procurement teams are in a unique position to develop supply chains that create and sustain economic and social value. In fact, younger professionals will embrace and encourage a more circular economy. This is a production and consumer cycle based on continuous use and reuse rather than the traditional linear economy. Future procurement teams will also need to have a focus on integration. They should have an awareness of all supplier and market information flowing through the company. They also must have an awareness of all the product data flowing out to collaborating partners. This flow of information will be key in analyzing internal and external costs throughout the organization, and it will also be key in meeting sustainability and social responsibility commitments. A focus on sustainability and integration will ultimately lead to strength in yet another focused area: increased transparency. Procurement teams in the future will face growing demands for information transparency. This demand, combined with real-time social technology, will put procurement teams in the spotlight. Procurement leaders must encourage social mindsets and operating models that support the corporate brand as well as the environmental and social communities. Ultimately, procurement teams will need to be comfortable talking to consumers, suppliers, and also the media. These focus areas require the adoption of a worldwide view that is different from the previous procurement leaders. Future teams will need diverse members with varied backgrounds and education in order to navigate these demands and thrive in the changing marketplace of the next world. Our final article today continues to build on the idea of sustainability and transparency. Green logistics, as they are being called, are not only good for the environment and the company. Sustainable logistics are cost-effective ways to promote brand goodwill and increase customer loyalty. A recent survey showed that 66% of the millennials are more likely to buy from a company that promotes an eco-friendly culture. On top of that, companies that advocate sustainability are shown to grow 5.6 times faster than brands that don't. Now let's introduce blockchain into the mix. Blockchain technology systems help maintain and distribute data transparently and securely. Blockchain allows collaboration between vendors, shipping lines, customers, and logistics firms, all on a single platform. All of the information added to a blockchain system is stored in blocks in a single location. These blocks are kept secure using encryption and a timestamp ledger that links the new information to the existing blocks. It is proving to be a safe and cost-effective method that limits fraud while also offering transparency and speed. Moving forward, increased sustainability and transparency will be required, and blockchain is going to be a more than just a simple trend. Thank you for watching VendOp News. Again, my name is Jay Bartels. I am CEO of VendOp. At VendOp, we manage the performance of vendors and suppliers and save companies millions of dollars each year. If you would like to join a panel discussion with other industry leaders, reach out to me via LinkedIn or email me at jay@vendop.com. Thanks again for joining me today.